Welcome to the full series of What If Deku had two Yandere wolf girlfriends. Thank you all for the wait. I know it took a while to try and get all these 4 parts out into one little itty bitty movie, but I have tried. So if all you are watching this from the memberships, which you guys should join, you guys get at least 4 or 5 videos early before they come out. So that's pretty cool, and also we have a selection of actual roles you can do. And when I go live, you guys get to see me and other things like that, and have chats with me and shit, just like normal lives, but you guys get more privs. And also, if you guys want to see more videos like this in the near future, where I complete every series I've ever done, surprisingly, make sure to hit the like down below, because I'm re-uploading all of my old shit from my hacked channel. So I hope you do all enjoy. To continue with that very day on where we last left off in the part 1 movie. As the day continued, after class was Izuku's worst fear. As the moment Izuku sat up and about to ready to go to the canteen to eat, he was pulled into another classroom by none other than his classmates, demanding how he knows them, and started to beat Izuku up slightly until they heard a little gunshot through the wall. "Excuse me, but could you please let go of my darling?" she said, as they both had eyes of anger. Luna, Mallow, it's okay." "No, it isn't, Izuku. They've been bullying you, and they deserve punishment," they both said in unison, as she was about to ready to attack them, but they heard a little noise in the back as one of the students just coughed, getting their attention. "You got off lucky," she said, as the boys just scoffed at that. "You're not hot anyways," they both said in unison, but knowing in their heads they want her or them for themselves. As we cut to our present day with Izuku actually in the cafeteria eating his food, as Luna and Mallow were both sat next to him, cuddled to his arm, as Izuku wondered why they were doing this and not eating, as he decided to bring it up to the conversation. "Hey, Luna and Mallow, I'm just wondering, why aren't you eating?" Izuku said. "Well, we're actually feeding off people's life forces if we want to, but we just want to cuddle with you all through lunch, okay?" she said, as Izuku didn't fight back at this point and just went along with it. Because Alabama. As Izuku, I'm kidding, as Izuku and Luna and Mallow sat in that position for the rest of the lunch period for 30 minutes. As the moment Izuku stood up, his arms felt limp, and they were looking blue sort of, because of Luna and Mallow holding him tighter and tighter each time they actually got looser from Izuku's grip almost. As we're gonna skip to the end of the school day, as Izuku was just about to get up from his seat, Bakugo would have pushed him back down using an explosion, but this would have set the 2 girls off into a position they didn't want to be in, as Luna would have just straight up punched Bakugo straight in the jaw, breaking his jaw, throwing him all the way back into the wall. "You hurt my darling," she said, cracking her fingers menacingly with large amounts of blood loss coming through. As for Mallow, she would have walked over to Izuku and see if he was okay. As the moment that she saw that scratch or burn mark, however, she lost it, as she jumped straight at Bakugo, clawing his left eye, leaving it bleeding out. "There you go, an eye for an eye. You touch him again, we'll end you," she said. As the day they arrived back in hell, however, Millie and Blitzo got a text from Luna to actually meet them at the gate where they left this morning. As the moment they arrived back, Blitzo hugged his son-in-law, asking if he was okay. Did he get hurt or anything? As Blitzo saw the burn mark on Izuku's cheek as he pulled out his rifle. "Well, time to go killing again," he said, about to whistle, but Millie pulled him back as she hugged Izuku. "Let's go get yourself patched up, okay?" she said, as Izuku just got dragged all the way to the infirmary area of Imp Incorporated, as Mitsley, or can't remember her name now, sent Izuku there to patch him up, as he left there with only a bandage on his left cheek. As Luna and Millie both came over and hugged his arms once again, comfort him because he was sad. Hey Zuko, you know you don't have to go back to that school, right? She said again. Yeah, but I'll tell you the exact same thing as I said before, Luna. I have to go there if I want to get decent grades and go to my favorite school, Izuku said. You worry even if you go to that school, they'll still treat you the same, right? Millie said, interrupting. Yeah, I know that, but if I don't go there and show the world that quirkless people can be heroes, then what's that gonna show for other people like me then? Okay then. How about this then? If we get Blitzo and Moxie to train you for the rest of the... How many months is it again, Izuku? I think 16 months, probably more. Actually, it's probably less, Izuku said again, retaliating. Well then, however months we have left training, we're going to get your body in physical shape, Luna said, same with Miru at the same time. If I mess up with names, I do apologize. As Izuku and both of the girls started to walk back to the bed, as both of them started to strip fully in the nude. As the moment they arrived into the bed, both of them grabbed Izuku's arm and started to slowly tug on it until he got thrown straight onto the bed, until his body started to fully collapse onto it. As the moment they both laid there in silence for 5 minutes, Luna decided to crawl onto Izuku's chest, laying on his face completely and bulbing his face into her cleavage, as Izuku blushed violently in his sleep. As the moment the other sister saw that, she felt a little bit jealous, as she lifted Izuku slowly off of the bed and placed her on her, leaving her pillows on her chest onto Izuku's head, leaving her as the bed while Luna as the blanket. As they both left Izuku into a sandwich situation, Izuku could only feel that he felt more and more comfortable by the second of the feeling that he was feeling at the moment, as Izuku just laid there, wondering where he was in his internal thoughts. As the next day arrived, as Izuku and Luna and Mizu was getting ready for school, but the moment they were about to leave, well, this would end up really bad, as one of the actual members of IMP, known as Blitzo, would have walked over to Izuku and gave him a hug. Hey Izuku, could you write down on this piece of paper who has been bullying you? He said. Sure. As Izuku wrote down the entire school. Wait, why did you write down the entire school? As he just stopped his sentence. So the entire school is bullying you? Yes. Hate this. What is it, sir? Don't worry about it. Call me father. You're gonna be my father-in-law. You're gonna be my son-in-law, though, aren't you? He said. Yes. As the moment they finished that conversation, Blitzo's note that he read on it, saying to leave the school around 30 minutes early for an appointment, but that appointment would be seen to be not. As the moment they arrived at school, Izuku's schedule of arriving at school would be a little bit messed up from Luna just going straight to the toilet just for 2 minutes. As the moment she came out, she saw most people staring at Izuku in a bad light, which annoyed her but knew she just instantly hugged Izuku's arm, the one that was going dead at the moment. As the moment Izuku saw her cling back on, Izuku felt more and more comfortable with the actual place he was at the moment. As their day went on as normal, but the moment Izuku left with Luna and Mizu early, Izuku was greeted with a loud explosion behind him as he went back to see what happened, but Luna and the other girl behind her, her sister, stopped him from doing so, being able to be told a couple of days or a couple of hours behind that, as we cut back to a couple of hours before the explosion. Yo, Blitzo, sir, is this BMF bombs? No, I think we need to add more just to make sure they die, Blitzo said. Okay, I think this might be a little bit too much to kill a bunch of kids, ignorant ones, but fair enough. As they placed down around 1,000 more bombs, around the area until one of them accidentally put the spark in one of the bombs. As Blitzo saw that and called him an idiot again, but realizing it, they only had a couple more minutes, as Blitzo opened one of the portals and threw one of his partners in, Blitzo just being able to make it through the portal just in time, as he hit the ground hard slightly as he came up untouched though. As the moment the explosion happened, Izuku looked back, as that's where we're gonna catch back up. What was that giant explosion just then? Izuku said. Don't worry about it, let's just go home. As Luna opened the portal and pushed through Izuku, as they ended up onto the floor of the actual complex of the apartment, or where Imp actually is. As Izuku and everyone else landed on the floor, with Luna and Millie being on top of Izuku, them not minding it but still asking if he was alright. As 2 minutes went by, as Blitzo came in covered in char and smoke, the same with, well, the other midget one. As Izuku asked them if they were okay and what happened to them, Blitzo trying to tell a lie, but Moxie accidentally said it out loud. Oh, we blew up a school district, he said. God damn it, you goddamn midget, he said, smacking the back of his head in a fury of rage. Wait, you did what? What school did you blow up? Well, we blew up yours, of course. Elementary Geometry Junior High. Wait, that's not my school, Izuku said. My school's Ajiria Junior High. I think you might have got a bit confused, as Izuku stopped midway through the sentence. Well, you killed a bunch of innocent people, he said. Well, they weren't innocent. There was probably a bunch of rapists, murders, or something in there. That was going to happen in a previous couple of months, but I'm pretty sure I did well there. They were probably going to bully you if they figured out as well, so better safe than sorry, Blitzo said. As the moment Blitzo finished that conversation, they got a text or a call from the owl who actually owned the book, named Stolas. As he picked up the phone, as he had an earful of rage to his left ear. Blitzo, he said, shouting at him in a furious tone. What is it, Stolas? He said with a seductive voice, this not working for him in his favor. You just killed a bunch of people. Why the hell would you kill over 1,000 people for in one day? He said. Did you just get like a mass amount of hit list and just killed an entire student's bodyguards and shit like that? He said. About that, this is actually a decent excuse. I don't want to hear your excuses. Tell me why, fully. Well, you remember your nieces, right? My 2 little daughters? Yes, I remember them. Well, they recently got a boyfriend that's mentally scarred to the point of, he thinks he's not worth anyone's time, and yada yada yada, that type of mental scarring. Oh, what does he look like? He said. Don't you still remember the spell to how to teleport yourself there? No, you have the buck, you fucking retard, he said. As he just told the spell, and he opened the portal next to Stolas, letting him through. As the moment he went through, Izuku went behind, well, his 2 girlfriends. As the moment he came through the portal, he saw Izuku blitzing out with a green mop for hair. Hey, what's up, kid? He said, as she looked back to see a beautiful green-haired boy. Oh, he's adorable, he said. So who hurt him? Let's torture them until they have heart attacks, he said internally. Don't go for it. We've already made that mistake once. We're not doing it again until we know it's at school. He said. Wait, no, don't blow up any schools, Izuku said, speaking up. As Luna and Millie both hugged Izuku more and more as they went on for the conversation. Mindless killing won't solve the problem. It'll just make it worse, Izuku said. If you blow up that school, there's a high chance I might be blamed for it, and I might get thrown in prison for a mistake that you guys made. Every single quirkless person on Earth gets normally blamed for the most stuff that happens to other people, Like, for example, a guy named Jonathan Lewis got arrested on the fact of being quirkless, but he just saw someone get murdered right in front of him, and he got the blame for it, even though it wasn't him who did it. I feel like if that happened, I would get blamed, Izuku said, as Luna just hugged him more and tightly, as Izuku couldn't get out of her grip at that very moment, so Izuku just left it while her breast pressed against his shoulder blade. As Izuku felt uncomfortable, but he left it nonetheless. So what are we gonna do about those kids then? Nothing yet, Izuku said. If we just wait a little bit longer, I'll be graduating, so you can do whatever you want then, he said. Oh, you're so cute, I just can't stop listening to you, said Blitzo, trying to hug him, but Luna just started to growl at him with a protective form of face on her, making Blitzo back off slightly. So, Stolas, what are you gonna do? Absolutely nothing. Wait, what? Yes, it's your mess. If the Demon King calls and asks you why you just killed over 1,000 kids, yeah, it's not gonna be my fault though, is it? Actually, you're probably gonna be dragged into it, Mihi said. Wait, how am I? We're using your book, remember? You lent it to us, you're gonna probably be dragged into it. Fuck's sake, he said, as Stolas just decided to actually help out with that and just decided to rebuild the school and just put some mimic of students there to make it seem like none of the students have died, but in retrospect they have, and their souls are in hell. Those are just mimics that he's showing to people so he can live out normal lives somewhat. As they all went to bed that same day, as Izuku woke up the next, feeling groggy and tired, so he just went straight back to sleep, but he fell straight through his alarm. Being 20 minutes late for school, Izuku arrived there a little bit late, seeing Luna and Miu sat there, just smiling at him, telling to come over. As Izuku sat down and the teacher finally walked in, Izuku Midoriya, why are you late? What are you on about? Izuku said. Well, it seems that you are late, so attention after school then, the teacher said, as Izuku just pouted and said fair enough, under his breath. As for the rest of the day, Izuku wanted just to leave the school, but he knew if he left, the bullying or everything else would just be passed on to someone else, and that would just make it a little bit worse for that other person, so Izuku would rather stay and get bullied himself than let other people get bullied for his misfortune. As the end of the day finally came, as Izuku, Luna, and the other girl, with his I can't forget her name, I do apologize, as they both sat there with Izuku as the teacher came in telling both of the twin girls just to go, but the more they tried to get them out of there, the more they clung to Izuku's arm and hugged him tighter and tighter, not wanting to leave. It felt like they were addicted and they didn't want to leave it alone. As Izuku told them to leave, but the more he told them as well, the more they held on. So the teacher just scrapped that idea and just let them stay for the rest of the time. As Izuku stayed there for half an hour as the teacher finally had enough and then told him to go. Same with the two girls that were there. As the moment Haruku arrived outside of school grounds, Luna held onto his arm and dragged him into a nearby alleyway, but the moment they did so, however, a certain blonde-haired boy was looking at them from a distance. Let's see what makes them so special, or Izuku's so special about those two little beautiful goth chicks always following him around. As Luna opened a portal to Imp Incorporated, as they entered through. As the moment Bakugo was about to enter through, the door shut behind him, leaving him stranded where he was. As Bakugo wondered where Deku went, as he tried to walk around hell more and more, to try and find him, but the more he looked around, the more he got lost. As he finally came across a hotel, the hell is this? Bakugo said. As Bakugo walked into the hotel, seeing that it was run down and looked like shit, so he just left there, as a certain white-haired boy or girl, depending, because I do not know what the gender of that person is. If you guys have seen Hazbin Hotel, you would know where this is going. As the white-haired woman or man decided to walk out along with it, following Bakugo from behind. As the moment Bakugo stopped outside of a little, it looked like a... "What the hell is this?" Bakugo said out loud, shouting. As Bakugo blew down the door, acting like he owned the place. As that was one of his big mistakes. As the moment he tried to do that, one of the demons grabbed him by the neck, throwing him to the wall. "If you think you're so tough, kid, act like it and actually own the place then," the one of the demons said. "The people here are nicer than what you'll ever meet. So either one, piss off and go back to the hell cubbyhole you did, little human." As he said that, Bakugo wondered why he said human so vigorously. As Bakugo left that place, using his explosion quirk to try and find Deku again to force him to take him home, the more he looked, the more lost he got. So, let's just go back to our Cinnamon Roll's point of view. "Hey Luna, what's the matter with you?" Izuku said as Luna sat on his lap, cuddling him more and more. "I was just wondering, recently you've been more accepting of our feelings, so how about we go a little further?" she said very seductively, as the other sister there decided to cling on to Izuku's arm a little bit more. "Yeah, how about we carry this relationship onto another level?" she said with both of their hands leading down to his, I don't think I have to say that, but I think you know what you mean. As Izuku would try and fight back of it, but both of the girls would forward on, until Izuku shedded a tear from his left eye, as Luna stopped and just licked his eye to make sure no more tears would come out. "Hey Izuku, you okay?" she said, patting his head. "Yeah, I'm fine. I just want to take it a little bit slower, okay? I don't want to rush into it. I've only known each other for a year, and so we've only physically known each other for 2 months," they both said. "Fine then, but I'm doing this then," she said, slacking her dog-like lips into Izuku's face, exploring every single crevice of his mouth. As Miru also did the same, leaving no trace of him left behind in there, leaving both of them satisfied. "And well, until you're ready for that, Izuku, you think I should just ask, okay?" she said, seductively laying on him again. As Izuku wondered what the other two were doing, as Luna got underneath him, while Mallow laid on the top. As Izuku remembered the same feeling as what he felt yesterday. "Oh," Izuku said internally, as 5 minutes later, he looked like he was dead, asleep. He thought he was actually dead? Ha! Lol. As Izuku's rest of the night he just slept, but through that night, he started tossing and turning, and his body started to heat up more and more. As the more he twisted and turned, he could feel his body starting to heat up violently. As Izuku turned through the night and got up, as Izuku started to sleepwalk slowly to Imp's actual waiting room. As Izuku sat there and slept for the rest of the night, as he woke up in the weird area, as Izuku wondered where he was, as he thought he just got dragged out by Blitzo, Izuku walked out of the actual area he was in as he went back to the room that Lala, or those two fox girls, were laying in. As Izuku just laid back on the bed, as Luna felt that the bed was moved, as she looked up to see Izuku was moving. As she pulled her arm closer to him, as she put her furry chest to his arm, asking him where was he during the night they missed him. "I walked all the way to the meeting room," Izuku said, smiling at her. "Just be careful, okay? We don't want our little hubby to go missing, do we?" she said, pushing him further and further into her chest. As the day finally began. "Come on, Izuku, push it further," he said. I can't move it, it's too heavy, he said, as he fell to the ground, panting for air. Come on, you said you wanted to go to that rich hero school, didn't you? So come on, get off your ass and actually fight for it, he said. Izuku nodded, as he jumped straight back on the boulder and started pushing it more up the hill, leaving him with more motivation than what he had previously. As Izuku pushed it halfway up the hill, he just straight up collapsed onto the floor, gasping for air. You sure this was a good idea? Izuku said, panting. I don't feel anything different, I just feel really tired. Izuku said, this is actually what you call, well, test run. We're gonna see where your strength lies at first, and then we're gonna eat breakfast, get some stretches through, wait for the digestive system to work, and go back to training. Okay, as Izuku pushed it a little bit further, not getting it all the way to the top, as he just fell down, straight back down the hill, rolling. Oh, we have our work cut out for us, Blitzo said, as the training montage began for the 5 months training period, as Luna decided to actually, what the fuck, wolf ghost named Luna decided to actually give Izuku a present when he came in one day, which is the 5th month of the first day there, as she came in bare butt naked into his room and laid on top of him, as Izuku opened his eyes to a big surprise. Do you like what you see, Izuku? She said, pointing to herself, as Izuku just blushed quite vigorously and tried to hide his face under the pillow. Yes, Izuku said, stuttering out loud. So, you want to take me? She said, seductively. I don't know. Yes, no, I don't know, he said. How about I do this for you then? She said, unzipping his pants. As we cut to 5 hours later, as Izuku was standing there panting like mad. Oh, amazing, I can't feel my legs, she said, as Izuku and her both went to sleep cuddling the night away. As Mola woke up halfway through that noise, as she looked through the hole, as she saw Luna laid on the bed next to Izuku, as this annoyed Mallow a little bit, seeing that her sister took Izuku before she could ever do. Well, she did take Izuku's first kiss, so I see that's pretty fair, she said. As for revenge, she was going to take something else as well, but we're going to save that for another time. As the final 6 months of the actual, well, before the UA entrance exam would have arrived, as Izuku's toned body will be that of season 5 anime, but imagine that but 2 times bigger, thanks to Blitzo and the others' training methods and a little bit of magic to accelerate the healing process to make his muscles more toned and defined. Especially the owl, as he helped out with Izuku's finishing training methods about how to actually lift and destroy metal things with one hand. Izuku able to actually use a little bit of magic, but not a lot of it, as his confidence level would still be the same from season 2 anime, a little bit nervous, but still able to do stuff. As Izuku arrived, well, at home after his last day of training, as Izuku got there to see Mallow laid on the bed, butt naked, under the sheets, as Izuku thought she didn't see him, or see her, but the moment he hit the bed, however, she instantly wrapped him up like a taco, with her on the inside. As you guys know where this is gonna happen, I'm not gonna walk through it because I would rather keep this video up. I'd rather not get the fucking demonetized. Thank you very much for understanding. As their night of passion finished, as Izuku came out of there, looking like he was full of sweat, as Izuku went straight back out to actually go get some fresh air. As Izuku came back into the room, he saw her sister Luna laid on the bed as well, next to her sister cuddling with each other for warmth. As Izuku got in there, they both separated almost instantly and clashed onto Izuku like it was for dear life. As Izuku finally got comfortable and laid there until he went to sleep. As the next day finally arose, as Izuku's body just felt like he was about to collapse until he had his daily healing therapy treatment with, well, you know, the owl. As the final day began, as Izuku was walking to the entrance exam, he realized other people around him were staring at him. As Izuku looked down to see Lara and, well, Miru. Okay, I'm losing track of my freaking voice here now, boys. As they both looked up at him, just smiling at him vigorously, as they both caressed his muscle lines like they were the last line of defense against anyone. As they became more and more addicted to Izuku, like they could never leave him or anything like that. As we cut to Blitzo's point of view just for a second, as Blitzo was looking around Izuku's room trying to figure out if there was any pregnancy tests or anything around, as there was none, so Blitzo was happy enough to say, "Whew, so he isn't trying to make my little girls pregnant," he said internally. As a couple of minutes went by into Izuku's point of view again, as he arrived into the entrance exam, as everything would be explained just like canon of what just happened, as everyone would walk into their own respective areas. If you guys are wondering what Izuku got in his testing results, I'll say he'll get a little bit more because he is really smarter than canon, so let's just say that for now. As for the physical portion of this exam, Izuku would see Ochako that was in danger. Instead of going to save her like canon, Izuku would find it a little bit more disgusted when he was around humans his age, or a little bit older. When they were younger, Izuku didn't mind. Okay, that sounds really wrong. Oh shit. As Izuku would actually, well, not save her in this timeline, so Ochako would probably be, let's just say, dead. As Izuku would look back to see all the guts and everything splattered all over the ground, as Izuku just had a smirk under his lips. But he still kept the innocence as what he did. He just finds it funny when other people die who he hated right in front of him. Thanks to Blitzo screwing that into his head, he sort of has a little murder intent half the time, but sometimes he doesn't. It's a mix of both. Sometimes he's really innocent and sometimes he's not. As Izuku would actually walk back to the, well, main entrance after getting all of his points, which in total he would have around, let's just say 20 hero points and around 30 villain points, just enough to get him in. But he actually had a quirk. I'm kidding. He just recently put a fake quirk down onto the little sheet of paper, saying he had a little physical enhancement just to be able to lift a bunch of stuff. But they don't know he is quirkless, so Aizawa will have a shock eventually. As Luna and Miki would actually come back to the main entrance to meet with Izuku. As the moment they did though, however, they saw Izuku's face was a little bit scratched. As they went over to him and tackled him to the ground, asking him if he was okay. As Izuku responded to his two beautiful hot goth chicks as their ears started to expand out of their heads, same with their tails. As they started to nuzzle their faces into Izuku's face, pretending like they're little puppy dogs next to their mama. As Izuku would pick both of them up, as he would have gone near to the corner and said the enchant to open the gate. But however though, Bakugo would just be leaped out and kicked out of that portal. "What the, am I here?" he said in a very scared tone as Izuku looked over at him. "Who the hell are you?" Izuku said. "Deku, you're the one who did this to me," he said. "Excuse me, what did I do to you?" Izuku said. "You know what you did to me, you put me down in that shithole," Izuku said. Bakugo said, "What do you mean I put you down in that shithole? What do you mean by that?" "You know what I mean, you put me down there for no reason, you opened the gate I walked through." As Bakugo shut down his facial mortal tones, as The only thing he had on him at the moment was a knife to his throat, or a claw to his throat, that was leading from, well, Luna and the other one. As Luna would be told to retract her claws by Izuku, as she would just smile at him, retracting her claws and taking it back. As she would walk over to Izuku and open back the portal, walking straight into Imp Incorporated. As the moment they walked in, however, they saw Blitzo with Solus next to each other having a chat. "Oh, hi father-in-law, what's up?" As Izuku would get a nice red fire next to his head. "Please leave, I'm not in the best of moods," Solus said. "Wait, why are you not in the best of moods?" Izuku asked. "Well, you see here, this little impy wimpy decided to actually make an advert again about how to get to the human world, and I had to actually control that advert for the exact reason I don't want demons from this world going to the main one. If that happens, Lucifer will have my ass." "We'll let you two adults see to it," Luna said, nudging Izuku's arm further to get them into the room. As we cut to Solus and Blitzo's point of view, with them staying in that room for at least 2 hours. As Izuku heard something be picked up and thrown onto the floor. As Izuku was about to peek his head through to see what was happening, Luna pulled his arm fully into the room and just kissed him to try and distract him from the argument that they were having. Well, arguments, quotation marks. If you guys know and seen the series, you will understand that. 7 episodes, watch it please. As Blitzo and Solus was still having their little conversation, quotation marks, as it finished at least 3 hours later, with Blitzo putting his hand onto the, well, cigarette and started to smoke. As their conversation went on for a little bit longer until they brought up the Harvest Moon Festival. As Blitzo would have brought up, "Hey, my little problem children are from there. Maybe it would be a blitz and a half," he said. "But I have never been. I've heard it was full of chuckle fucks," he said. As he would have explained the same things from canon, saying it would be a blast and it would have some more bodyguard issues and some special access. I'm gonna get demonetized. As Izuku would have woken up around this time from the noise, as Luna would try and push him back to bed a little bit more. But soon that Izuku would be pushed down for the second time, he would stay there knowing that Malo would actually have another chance of touching Izuku again. So Izuku just accepted it and laid back down. As we actually cut to our final time skip of 5 hours, as Blitzo woke everyone up with a frying pan and a spoon, clinging them both together. "I don't get no sleep 'cause of y'all." That's funny. As Blitzo finished the last clack, as Luna instantly opened the door, telling her old man to shut up. She was having her little cuddle time with her Huggle Bear. She said out loud, "I don't care, you two or you three in there need to get up right now because you are going to be going to this," he said, pointing to a poster. "I really don't want to go," Luna said, before Marlo instantly jumped up and said, "Wait, you're seriously taking us there?" "Yes," she said out loud. "This would be a perfect day for our little Huggle Bear to get a little first date through," she said, as she jumped on top of Izuku, waking him up with shaking him. As Izuku woke up groggily to Malo shaking him, as Izuku would try and finish her conversation for her, asking her where are they going, and she would finally actually say it out loud. They're going to a form of Disneyland, but in Izuku's world it'll be called that, but in this world it's called something else. Off my memory, I do not know, so I don't want you guys to ask me that yet. The episode should be linked in the description if any of you want to join and look at it. It's the Harvest Moon Festival, that's what thing I couldn't remember. As Izuku, Malo, Blitzo, and the rest of the crew from Imp decided to actually visit, one of the females in the group's families. This being, God's sake, I keep forgetting their names just like that. I need to remember them all. As they would have visited the little red midget imps. That's family. Hillbillies, am I right? as Izuku would try and introduce himself, but the moment he tried to introduce himself, he was knocked off and pushed aside to see their daughter in her full glory. As Izuku would say that'd be rude, but he knows how long they have waited to see their daughter once again, so he allowed it. As 5 minutes went by as they finally introduced himself to Izuku, as the man looked at him with a little bit of sort of look. I don't know what he was looking at him like, but it seemed like he was trying to check him out for something. As Izuku tried to bring him up on the matter, but the other thing the man said was, "I wish you were our daughter's husband instead of that little white skinny thing over there," he said. "Hey, I'm still here, you know," Moxie said. "Oh, shut up, we know that already, you stupid imp," he said. As Izuku and everyone else would have gone to sit down and waited for the confettities or the actual stuff to start for the harvest Yandere, as Izuku would be laid in bed waiting for La and Mallow to join. As Izuku would be waiting there, he heard a knock at his door. As he opened it to see a really tall demon standing over 7 foot tall, with horns sharper than a blade's edge in a cowboy outfit. "Excuse me, but can I help you?" Izuku said. "Yeah, where's that imp or that little owl person you've been troubling here being soulless, am I correct?" "Yes, he's in the another 2 rooms down with Blitzo. Why do you ask?" he said. "Well, I'm here just to actually get his autograph," he said, lying through his teeth. "Oh, okay, then he's just down the hall. You shouldn't miss him, he's literally got a giant sign saying soulless," Izuku said jokingly. "Okay then, have a good day," he said, trying to get on his good side. As he left there, as Izuku wondered at the back of his head, wondering why this guy here wanted to know where Soulless was. Is he a close friend? Is he an assassin? Izuku didn't know, so he just stepped out of it. As a couple of hours went by, as the same things from canon would happen, but Izuku would jump in trying to help out. As Millie's team for the tug of war would win in this timeline because of Izuku's enhanced strength, just being able to push through and get the number 1 spot for that very task that they actually planned on doing. But for the rest of them, everything would go from canon because some of them would be cheating using steroids and all sorts like that. But near through the middle of the actual final match, whether you were doing the running, I know I'm adding that I don't think that happened in the show, but I'm just adding it because why not? It's just a little extra thing to cover. As Milo and Luna would actually cheer on Izuku in the background, as Blitzo would be cheering on for his son-in-law and the little imp boy that was in front of him as well. As Izuku would be cheered on, Izuku would use most of his leg strength and push through his actual barely limiter. As he said go, as Izuku would turn to his head, thinking miles a minute. "I will do this, I will go beyond," Izuku shouted in his head. As Izuku pushed off, just being able to use a tiny smidge of magic that he saved up, being able to get him the number 1 spot by pushing his legs to the barely limit and throwing himself at the end, 1st place. As we cut to our little Cinnamon Rolls point of view after the race, as Mallow and Luna was rushing to him, hooking him tightly as Izuku couldn't barely breathe from his lack of oxygen going to his lungs, thanks to the actual technique that Soulless taught from batting hands speeding. As Luna and Milo would both be hugging Izuku, as Luna would just pick him up. "Oh, where's our innocent little cinnamon roll?" she said, pouting. As she just kept on saying that she wanted her little intimate cinnamon roll back, because then they'll get more cuddles and hugs instead of him training more and often. As Izuku would be fine with that, but he knew the day after where he was, he knew he had to attend a UA, so he went along with it. As the next day arose, as Izuku told Blitzo and everyone they had to go early, but Blitzo told Izuku that they don't have to worry because the time in hell is different towards in hell, like in Earth times. By now it would be around 12 midnight, he said. Around probably just yesterday. Do you know how Australia works, or like Japan with like its shitty time zones? Yes, it's kind of like that, but we're ahead of everyone else, he said. Oh, okay, Izuku said. As that's where we're gonna leave the video off today. Hope you guys enjoyed. I try to make the video as long as possible. I only have 1 or 2 more videos of these being ready to pre-record. If you guys want another part of this, get this video to 600 likes, and I'll try and get the next part out as soon as possible. Thank you all. Have a good day. We're gonna start off where we last left off with, let's just say, Luna, Miyu's, and Izuku's point of view for this shit. By the way, thank you for the support with the last video. Give the video to 600 likes. Next part. As Izuku and Luna and Mallow, Blitzo, and the all rest of them came back to the main area, Izuku gave Blitzo the okay to open the portal. As Izuku walked through it, the sun was still down and it looked like it was nighttime, so Izuku just waited outside of the UA doors until they opened. As the moment they opened, Izuku walked straight in and went to 1A straight away with Luna and Mallow. As the moment they arrived there, they thought they had a couple of hours to wait until, the teachers started to walk in. So they just decided to cuddle next to Izuku as they fell asleep for a couple of hours. As 3 hours went by, Izuku woke up to a noise at the front door. As it opened, a guy with shaggy black hair walked through with some form of sleeping bag. Why does he look dead? Izuku thought internally, thinking he was a demon as well. Hi, who are you? Izuku said, as Shoto jumped a foot, waking him up completely. How long have you been here, kid? I've been here for 3 hours. Wait, did you teleport here? No, I didn't actually. I came here when the UA doors opened. I walked straight in, Izuku said. What have you been doing for the past 3 hours? As he just stopped his sentence, fully waking up. You heard this is against school regulations, right? But knowing this, I don't get paid enough for this shit, so have fun, Shota said, waving him off as he went straight back to sleep for another hour. As it turned 8 o'clock, as everyone started to swarm into class. As Izuku woke up Luna and Mallow from their sleep, as they were being very, very unhelpful when it came to waking them up. As Izuku finally had enough and picked them both up and dragged them to their seats across from him. But the moment Izuku tried to get him to let go, they just grabbed onto him tighter like some form of clingy child having separation issues. As Izuku tried to let them go even more, as they finally let go and sat down in their seats, still asleep, as Izuku slapped Mallow gently on her face, trying to wake her up, as the last slap on her face after 5 tries finally woke up, as her voice started groggy, but Izuku gave her a little short kiss to wake her fully up. As everyone looked at the 2 couples, or 3 people who were clinging next to Izuku. Well, 2, why'd I say 3? As 2 people started to cling to Izuku more, as Momo finally walked into the room. Yes, she's finally having relevance to the story from part 1. Accept it. As she walked in and saw Izuku. Hey babe, she said, mentally insane. Why the fuck do I call him that? She said. Who are you? Izuku said. I'm your girlfriend, silly. We broke up, remember? Izuku said. As Luna clung to Izuku more with her arms wrapping around him as her dog-like nose snuggled against his neck more and more. Excuse me, bitch, but who are you? She said. Excuse me, but who the fuck are you? She said. I'm happen to be Izuku's fiancé, so how about you scooch off of him? Actually, he likes me more, so how about you piss off, bitch? Luna said. As Momo finally had enough and tried to create something, but this woke up Aizawa, as Aizawa shot them both a glare. Sit down now or you're all expelled, Aizawa said, shocking most of the class. Who do you think you're talking to like that? As Bakugo got instantly wrapped up in, Aizawa's capture scarf. If I were to choose your next words wisely, Katsuki Bakugo, I've seen your history. It may look clean, but I can see that is always hidden up something, Aizawa said. I will always find a way to try and make your life a living hell here, so get used to it. And also everyone go get changed. We're doing the freaking apprehension test, he said. But what about orientation? The late girl said, walking to the door. I don't care about that. I run my class how I want to. Now get outside or I'm going to expel all of you, Shota said, walking outside, not with a single care in the world. As everyone went outside and got ready, but there was two people left in the changing room, Izuku and Bakugo. As Bakugo walked up to Izuku, see, your two little doggies, or your two little pets are not going to save you now, Deku, he said, glaring at him in a furious rage. Why do you think I need them to protect me? Izuku said. Well, you know why. Because you're just a weak, quirkless little. As Bakugo was interrupted by Shota Aizawa shouting in the changing rooms, telling them all to get out now or they're expelled. Yeah, he's using the expel card a little bit too much here, am I right? As Izuku walked out with Bakugo behind him, as Bakugo would be annoyed at the nerd in front of him, but he'll allow it because he doesn't want to be expelled yet, does he? Bakugo's a piece of shit. Can you guys spam that in the comment section, please? Let's get 1,000 comments. As Izuku and everyone else will be outside, but Malo and Luna, we both attached to Izuku like some form of magnet to their prey. As Luna will be called up to go first, with her getting first place on the entrance exam. Bakugo will be a little bit annoyed and start throwing insults, but Shota would slowly shut that up in a matter of seconds. Okay, Luna, throw this ball, he said. Okay, but how do I have to use my quirk? She said. Yes, just use as much as you want, just don't step outside the circle, Shota said, rubbing his eyes in tired pain. Okay, she said, tossing the ball. As the moment the ball left her hand, people could even see fire. If you get this reference, she's a fucking hellhound, so I'm giving her fire magic. I know she doesn't have that in the show. Leave it be. I am aware. As she threw the ball, letting out a shot of fire out of her hand. As the ball would have gone at least 700 or 600, probably even 800 meters at most. As most people there would be surprised, but most people would be disappointed. They thought it would actually go out further. With the society being as corrupt as it is, people would be more underwhelmed when people use a quirk that's weak. As everyone would have had their turns, as Ochako would get infinity. Bakugo would get the same points, everyone would get the same points. But when Izuku went, since he's had his physical training and insane amount of power boost as he has, I see Izuku getting around at least 400 throw points thanks to his actual magic and power boost and shit with his magicules. So I see him actually getting at least a decent score with the throwing. As the next physicals would go on with the actual running, Izuku would get at least 4th, probably even 5th. As for, the boulder shit, that would actually make you run faster. As for the other ones, grip strength would at least get 7th. Jumping, would say 8th. As for the rest of them, Izuku would get at least like 10th or 11th in it. As for Malo and Luna, they would probably get in the speed, 2nd, with Malo getting 3rd. As everyone else would get their same scores from canon, with Malo's strength being a little bit more advanced than a human thanks to her dead body or her actual hellhound forms. As their scores on those little tests with the grip strength, I see them getting at least 500, probably more. Probably less, probably more, overwhelmed or underwhelmed, I don't know. As the rest of the testers would go the same, as Izuku would have a second go at actually throwing the ball, because Aizawa thought he could actually warm up his muscles and then throw it again. Izuku, is it? Or Midoriya? Throw the ball again, I want to make sure I read this right, he said. I want to see if your power is based on what I think it is, he said. As Izuku just grabbed the ball from Aizawa, asking him, does he throw with power in it or no? He said. put everything you've got into it. I actually want to see what you've got here, Shota asked, as Izuku threw the ball as hard as he could. But the moment the ball left his impact on his last bare touch, Izuku thought, fuck it, last second, and infused most magic he could at that very moment without passing out. As the moment the ball left his hand, the ball, you couldn't even see it. As the ball left Izuku's hand, it went flying even past the stratus. I'm kidding. It went around 1,275 meters. As Izuku dropped to one knee after using that much mana, as Izuku would be gasping for air, as Luna would go next to him, same with Malo, lending him a little bit of their magic just so Izuku could stand up. As Izuku used Luna and Malo for a crutch, Izuku got up. So how was that? Izuku said, panting. As Aizawa looked back at his phone, saying 1,247 meters long, as most of the class there had their gobs shut open, but Araka would still have a little 2 feet cocky grin. As most people there would be surprised of Izuku's strength, but Baku on the other hand would actually rush at Izuku, telling him he was a damn nerd. Where the hell did you get this from? You should have told me, Deku, he said, shouting with a cocky grin, as Bakugo would have tried to throw an explosion of a single spark, but the moment it hit Izuku, that spark dissipated, but not from Ozawa's quirk. As Malo and Luna would have tackled Bakugo to the ground with one swinging kick to the head. Have you ever seen Mikey from Tokyo Revenge's kicks? We're going off that here, as Bakugo would be thrown to a wall and crash down next to a crater, leaving there only little bits of debris, as Bakugo would be KO'd. As Luna would have made that contact, as Aizawa would say, Luna, Mio, Izuku, what the hell did you just do? Aizawa said, worried. We just did what anyone else do in our turn, self-defense, Malo said, same with Luna. You know, if he actually made contact with our darling, he would have actually been dead, he said. What do you mean by he'd be dead? You know how people react when their boyfriend gets hurt or something? Or like one of their family members, they get worried. And in our terms, this asshole's been bullying him for 4, 5, 10 years. And we finally had enough. And now we made a told Bakugo Priya before he came to this school that if he ever tried to hurt our little precious Izuku, we'd murder him. And what looks like over there, he isn't dead, but he looks like a vegetable, she said outernally. So you're saying is you basically killed him? No, we made him a vegetable. Brain damage. Crippled. All sorts like that, she said. Recovery goal. Yeah. As I would press the button on his controller or remote control phone, and actually would have called the reverse bots or the medical bots to come down and pick Bakugo's vegetated corpse up the ground. At least that's what they think. As they would have finally returned to, well, Recovery Girl's office, as Recovery Girl would have done her little checkup on Bakugo and realized he's had a little brain bleed, broken jaw, and a fractured skull and arm. Other than that, he's fine. As Recovery Girl kissed him and bandaged his head up in some form of cement, but you guys know it's a cast. As Bakugo will be wearing a little cast on his neck and head to make sure he didn't break anything else. And that would leave Bakugo KO'd for a couple of episodes. That's good. Perfect. As Bakugo would walk next to his class the moment he finished getting healed. As Bakugo would be greeted with Izuku just laughing internally while Milo and Luna would be laughing externally. As Aizawa would have walked into the class and told everyone it was the end of the day and that they could go home. As the moment they arrived home, however, Izuku opened a portal next to an alleyway and opened it and walked straight in to see Blitzo and Solus having an argument once again. Excuse me, but could you two stop being so fucking angry all the time and just fuck already? Luna said externally. Excuse me, miss? Solus said. stop being such a freaking, she said. Okay, let's, come on, Blitzy, he said, as he dragged him all the way to the room, as, you know what happens there. As Izuku was sitting on the settee, or couch, as Americans call it, as Izuku started to eat his dinner, while Luna, was both laid on next to Izuku, with both of their heads touching his arms, and holding on for dear life like it was a lifeline. As Izuku, Milo, and Lal would have actually had their shower, and this is the shower scene. As Izuku, Lal, and Milo would actually get undressed, as Izuku would be nervous and actually start stuttering and asking them, "Could you just leave, please? I seem a little bit embarrassed," Izuku said, as Izuku saw them butt naked. Having gained used to them for the next year or so, Izuku would actually have sort of gotten used to it, but not really. He's still a nervous wreck when it comes to both of them. As Izuku would actually have walked out and wait for them to finish, but they never took their shower. As they both of them 5 minutes later would said finish, as Izuku would have walked in, still seeing them, butt fucking naked. As they would have dragged Izuku back into the bathroom, as they would have had their shower and a little bit of fun in there. I'm not allowed to say it because this channel would get taken down and striked if I did. As Izuku would walk out tired and fatigued, as he would have collapsed straight onto the bed. As next day would have arrived, as Izuku woken up to his alarm clock being 5 minutes late. Well, he's not late for class, as Izuku would have actually gotten up, shut up, and got dressed. As he would have woken up Malo and not Lala, different anime, Luna, as they would have gone ready for their second day of UA High School. Izuku, Luna, and Malo both arrived at the class, as they were greeted with Momo trying to hug Izuku, but Luna would have pushed her away, as Malo would have grabbed Izuku, pushing him further into her chest. "Excuse me, bitch, but what gives you the right to hug our Izuku?" she said viciously. "Well, he's my burn and no. Choose your next words carefully. Chest," she said, pointing to her bazongas. As Izuku would slowly blush at the state he's in at the moment, being pushed against Malo's cleavage. As her double D-sized breast decided to poke into his eyes a little bit, but Izuku dealt with it. As Izuku tried to push away, but Malo pushed in further. As Izuku would be led to his desk, but Malo would be sat on his lap. As Luna would be a little bit jealous, but she will allow it thanks to her sister, Sweet Home Alabama, as allowing it would actually be there. Aizawa would walk in, but realizing Bakugo in the brace and cast, he would actually excuse him from the battle training today. "Wait, battle training? God damn it," he said out loud, as everyone else would have walked out and got changed into their hero costumes. Izuku would have a different outfit in this timeline, as I would say he'll have more of a demonic look instead of a greenish look. As Izuku would walk out, getting the nosebleeds of most of his classmates' peers, but the most of them being Luna and Malo, having rivers of blood come out. As they both ran up to Izuku and hugged him tightly, not letting go. As they both grabbed Izuku's ass as they led his hands to theirs. "How's that feel, babe?" she said, nuzzling her nose onto his ear. As Izuku would blush a violet red, as they both would have had their little cuddle session for 5 minutes until All Might said, "Young people of our generation, here is what we're gonna do today. We're gonna draw votes, and whoever actually gets the highest vote would actually be on that team, or doing this," All Might said, pointing to the number box. "Random. Seems fair," Izuku said, as Malo hugged him, telling him it wasn't fair if he gets to play with another girl. As Izuku said it'd be fine and he wouldn't try anything. But Malo, and Luna on the other hand, would not trust that, as they would have poked his ear. "If you try anything with them, baby, you'll be punished tonight," she said, prodding his cheek. as they both kissed him passionately for 2 minutes, as Izuku picked out his ball or wrote down his name into the vet, as the magic 8 balls or whatever the hell the cannon works or anything like that would have actually drawn the votes. Izuku, Midoriya, and Uchaku Uraraka, as the next voting would commence, as Luna and Mallow by fate would be on the same team, as Luna would actually be caressing her sister's chest slightly, being able to hide it from the others. "Hey, stop that," she said. "Oh, I miss it already," she said, pouting. "I want my little body pillow back," she said again and again. As Ochako would have gone closer to Izuku not making a move, because the only people he loves is Mallow and Luna. As the fighting and the hiding the bomb would commence, as Izuku would walk in with Ochako, as the same things with Cannon would happen, but Bakugo wouldn't be in it. Instead, I would see Tokoyami taking over for him. So it's Dark Shadow, of course. As Dark Shadow would have killed all the lights in that room, making him a little bit stronger in the dark, but the windows didn't help, but at least it gave him a little bit of strength. As Izuku would power through most of the attacks, realizing he had to use magic to restrain Dark Shadow, Izuku would have done so, using the little bit of mana he had left from yesterday, using it to restrain Dark Shadow and leaving Tokoyami completely and utterly coagulated, as Izuku would walk next to Ida and try to fight off, but with his speed, of course, being a little bit of a off-putting thing, as Ida would try and break Izuku's leg, but Izuku would have jumped over with a backflip, getting a little bit of distance between them. As Izuku finished jumping, Ida caught up and whale chucked Izuku to a nearby wall, being a little bit of a crack, with this being enough time for Ochako to rush in and grab the bomb, but the moment she did, Ida would have axe kicked her in the head, but still touching the bomb, the hero team would have won and Ida's team would be disqualified for breaking the rules, but Ida didn't know that yet. As Izuku walked back, seeing Luna and Mallow both run at him and hug him. "Oh, I missed you," she said. 20 minutes apart is like eternity. She said, nuzzling more and more, as their nuzzling would have been interrupted by All Might saying, "Young ones, could you please not do this here and do it in a private of your own home?" he said. "No," she said, still carrying it on. "Excuse me, miss, if you don't stop this right now, I think you may have to go to Principal Nezu's office," All Might said, as Lana and Mira would have just given him a glare. "Excuse me, you would have done the same thing if you're in love with them," she said, staring at him, making All Might have a little frightened scare, reminding him of a certain someone, but he would keep that feeling under wraps until he knew that was actually her, or all for one pretending to be someone. As the day went on just like normal, as Izuku with everyone else would have gone to actually have their food and everything. As Izuku was eating his, lunch, Mallow and Lura would have come over and sat next to Izuku again, but this time Ochako, Momo and Ida would have come to sit over next to Izuku, not being able to introduce themselves like canon timelines, but they did it a day later. As Ochako tried to sit next to Izuku, Mallow would have had a devilish glare on her face, telling her to back off, as Ochako would have ignored that and gone straight in still. "So, Izuku, what's your favorite hero?" as she was stopped by Mallow putting a claw to Ochako's neck. "Excuse me, slut, if you, like the way you're living, I recommend you back off my Izu," she said. "Okay, then," she said, as Izuku, Ida, and Ochako had their conversation, as Momo just sat there eating her, lunch, her posh lunch the fucking rich get, as Momo finished her lunch and still sat there waiting for Izuku to move. As the moment he did, Mallow followed him to empty the trash. As they were about to empty it, as Momo pressed her body against Izuku and just straight up kissed him. As Mallow was stunned, standing there, not knowing what to do, until it finally settled in. As the first thing she thought was kill, kill, kill. As she lunged at Momo, not doing a second thought, her claws were extended to the farthest reaches of her own body, as she impaled Momo into the shoulder, putting an uppercut straight to her chest, leaving her flying back into a nearby wall, leaving a giant crater. But before Mallow could leave the finishing blow, Izuku grabbed her and kissed her straight away, as Izuku would have just lushed his tongue around her dog-like mouth. That sounds really wrong out loud, as every single crevice of his mouth was starting to be explored by Mallow. As 5 minutes later, the teachers arrived, seeing Mallow and Izuku kissing, while Momo looked like she was paralyzed. As everyone else in that room would have gone over, Luna especially, as Luna would have actually gone to sit next to Izuku, asking him what happened, as Mallow broke the kiss and explained, as this thoroughly pissed off Luna, as Luna would have actually tried to go over there, but Izuku would have grabbed her arm as well and pulled her into his embrace. "Don't worry about it, it's fine. It's already been sorted. Mallow's done it," Izuku said, as the teachers came over hearing that thing. "Excuse me, but you the one who did this?" All Might said. "Yeah, she kissed my Izu, so what?" she said. "Principal's office, now." "Excuse me, but I was only defending myself. Izuku doesn't like that woman. He said it on multiple occasions." "Is this right, Midoriya?" Yes, Mr. All Might," Izuku said. Principal's office still," All Might said, as everyone else was just sitting there in silence as Izuku, Luna, and Mallow was both sent to the principal's office, as their 5-minute conversation would have felt like 5 hours, as we cut to the inside of the principal's office chat. "Mrs. What's your last name, sorry?" "Just call me Luna. I'd rather not talk about my last name," she said. "As what about you? We're the same, we're twins, you dumb fuck," she said internally we have to not say. As Izuku would actually say his last name and all that, but the moment he said his last name, All Might's ears perked up. "Hey, are you the Midoriyas that got brutally injured to the point they killed themselves?" Think so?" Izuku said. "What do you mean you think so?" "Well, they bullied me, abused me, and left me for dead half times. So Luna's mom and dad actually tucked me in and actually raised me." Or Luna's stepdad, sorry, Izuku said, as he just started patting her on the head, as she just lets out a giant purr or a satisfied noise. As Izuku would actually just keep on doing this, but Mallow would get jealous and want some as well. But Nezu interrupted them both. "So you both came from a bad area?" "Yes, we did. But that doesn't excuse you for hitting another student, so what's your excuse for this?" "Well, she kissed our Izuku, so what else do you think we're gonna do? Let her just sit back and just let her get away with it?" "So, were you two, like, dating or something?" "Actually, both of us are dating him," she said, hugging his arm. "So, I'm confused. This is above my pay grade by the government. I'll let you off with a warning because you guys are actually really nice. I'll let you off with a warning because of the actual family life issues you've been through. So anything else that comes out like this ever again, you will be having the warning system set into place," Nezu said. As an hour went by after that conversation, as Momo woke up in the infirmary asking where she was, as she didn't know who she was at this point, asking the nurse who she was and where is she, as, well, Recovery Girl would just say, well, you're actually in the UA campus buildings and your name is Momo Yaoyorozu. Did you lose your memory or something? She said. Oh, wait, sorry. I completely forgot. I do apologize, she said, faking through it. Why did I get knocked unconscious? She said over and over again, as Momo went back to her class that thought was hers, when she was correct. As she walked through the doors, she sat down in her seat as their class began. As Izuku was waiting for the teacher, same with everyone else, as Aizawa walked in 5 minutes late. As Aizawa asked a bunch of his students to vote, or at least have a political debate, on who's gonna be vice rep and principal or some shit of this class, Aizawa said, slipping back into his sleeping bag. As everyone started raising their hands up, starting to say, pick me, pick me, pick me, like normal teenagers would. As Aizawa would tell them all to shut up and actually get along with it, or he'll pull out the expel card again, Aizawa said in his sleeping stupor. As everyone else would have had their votes and everything, let's just say for simplicity's sake, everything would go like canon, just to save a little bit of time. As Izuku and Momo would be picked, with Mallow being really pissed off, but she would try her best to hide it. As Aizawa woke up 5 minutes later, asking his students as he pulled out a consent form. So class, I need you to sign these forms for tomorrow and hand them in tomorrow as well. If you don't, you won't be going to this trip, Aizawa said, groggily wiping his eyes. Excuse me, Mr. Aizawa, but what would we be doing? Well, we're going to the USJ as a little training exercise, so get lost and get your parents to sign these on the way out, Aizawa said. So make sure these get back in tomorrow, as Izuku, Malo, and everyone else left the class. As Izuku arrived back at headquarters, as Malo and everyone else came in, as Izuku, where's... Hey, Blitzo, where's Muxie and you know who? Well, they're out on their little festive things. What do you mean by that? Well, she's giving, you know. We don't know, like, what does that mean? As Muxie introduced. Wait, Thingy's having a baby? Where is she? She said. Well, she's at the infirmary right now. We were just waiting on you to come back. Hey, come on, let's go, Blitzo said, pointing to his van. Soulless came out of nowhere. Oh, Blitzy, he said. I heard Muxie's becoming a baby daddy soon. So how about you and me become one? He said. Well, it's not soon, it's now, so could you please just get out of the way, our teleporter's there, Blitzo said, getting the owl to say, oh, what am I gonna get in return? Become the godfather or some shit, he said. It's either that or get my hand up your ass. It wouldn't be the first time for that though, would it, Blitzy? He said, with a seductive tone in his voice. As Izuku just shouted him, come on, we're gonna meet Muxie and Blitzy's baby. Come on, hurry up, you fucking owl, Izuku said, as this would have got the attention of the two lovers in the room. Ooh, someone's feisty today, the owl said, as Izuku and everyone else in the room would actually go to the infirmary room and see, well, Muxie holding his wife's hand as she gives birth to his child. As 5 minutes go by, as they heard a scream that sounded like it was from hell itself. Well, it was, but you guys get what I mean. As Izuku, hey Millie, you okay? Izuku said. Yeah, I'm fine, Izuku, don't worry, she said, patting his head like some form of child. So, would you like to see your baby then, Millie? He said in a seductive tone, as Muxie handed his baby to Millie. as she just hugged the little one. As Izuku asked, so what are you gonna name it? Let's think. How about we give it a little nickname from you, okay? How about Izuma? She said. Izuma. I like it, Izuku said. Same with everyone else in the room. As there's two people in the room looked at it, as they just had a little hint of something in their eye, something that they wanted, but they didn't know if Izuku wanted it as well, so they just left it up to Izuku to see what he would do. As the next day arrived, as Izuku and everyone else was getting ready, as Izuku asked Blitzo to sign this form. Couldn't you just sign it, Izuku? They wouldn't tell the difference. Actually, that's the problem. They do know the difference. Turns out they know what my handwriting looks like, Izuku said. Fine then, Blitzo said, pulling out a demon pen, signed the paper, and told Izuku to go to school and have a wonderful day. As Izuku arrived back to the UA campus building, Izuku was greeted with two of his classmates. So, Deku, we heard you were quirkless before. So why the hell do you have a quirk now then? Momo said, walking up to him, regaining her memory enough. What do you want about, Momo? Izuku said. I've always had this strength, I just trained to unlock it more. Bullshit, Momo said eternally again. So, tell me how you gained this power. I'm gonna tell the entire class of how much of a weak pussy you used to be, Momo said. How about I tell the entire class that you sexually harassed one of their students? As Luna said that, it pissed off Momo with a tick mark at the side of her head. Do you not know who I am? I'm one of the Yaoyorozu's head of... We do know who you are. And in fact, we generally just don't care, Luna said to her. As Luna started to get slow tip marks going down her face. Yaoyorozu did, sorry. As the more she said that, the more annoyed she got. Excuse me, but I think you need to learn your place, she said, trying to grab Luna's arm. But to no avail, it don't work, because by the time she grabbed Luna's arm, Izuku pushed her away, and telling her that if she even touched her baby, or his baby girl, that she would die. Yaoyorozu, not taking this a threat, would have pulled Izuku to her, telling him that she is his, and no one else's, as this royally pissed off Luna, as Luna was about to claw her eye out and kill her and open a portal and throwing her to her pits of hell. As Aizawa walked in, telling all the students to hand in their platforms or their signed release forms. As Aizawa told everyone to hand these in, Izuku would as well, as everyone would have gone to their hero costumes and got onto the bus in a single file line. As everyone got onto the bus, Izuku started to have a chat up a storm with Millie and Luna. So, what do you think Millie's going to do with the baby? She said, or he said. Well, Izuma, I don't know at the moment. Right now I think she's feeding him. So, I think I know Moxie absolutely adores him. For the exact reason that he took care of you and we took care of you as well, baby, she said, sitting more on his lap. As Moxie point of view. Okay, where is it, he said, struggling in the shops. Here it is, here's a stroller, he said, as he picked it up and rushed out of the store, stealing it without paying for it. Well, it's hell, what do you think? Whew, I'm back, Moxie said, as he opened the door to see some of the bits of fire coming out of the baby's mouth. As Moxie pulled him over and carried the baby to his arms as the baby carried down. As Moxie's stress levels were rising, Milo, I keep on getting the names wrong, I do apologize, were laid on the couch fast asleep as Moxie joined and laid the baby in between both of them as they fell asleep. As it cut back to Izuku's point of view in the USJ fighting for his life just like Kanon. God damn it, what's with these fucking Nomu? He said. I thought this thing would die on the first magic hit I did. Looks like I was wrong, Izuku said, evading the last Nomu's attack. Okay, let's try this then. As Izuku threw a 100% magical power punch to the brain of the Nomu, managing to blow it entirely off. If you guys are wondering how Izuku got in this position, just picture canon timeline without Mineta and Sue there. As Luna and Miro both saw Izuku blow the head off the Nomu and saw Shigaraki chasing him, or about to chase him, as Milo standing in front of him, but Milo was pushed aside by Izuku, not wanting her to get hurt, as Shigaraki was about to touch Izuku, but All Might busted through the door, acting like a hero. Well, acting is the word here. As Aizawa, the moment the actual decay guy touched Izuku, the quirk was cancelled out almost instantaneously due to the touch, as Aizawa managed to save Izuku's life for another day. As Izuku was just about to get off, but All Might came rushing through, grabbed Milo, Lalo, and actually Izuku, brung him to Aizawa, and told him to get up there while he dealt with these two. As All Might rushed through and detained the rest of the villains surrounding areas in seconds, as the USJ event would come to a close with Shigaraki and Kurogiri being captured. As they arrived back in Imp, Izuku, Malo, Millie, Moxie, and Blitzo were both sitting there, telling Izuku about their quest and everything, as Izuku asked where Izuma was, as Millie both pulled out a little crib behind her, showing that Imi was asleep. Why did you call him Imi? Oh, nickname, right? Izuku said. Yes, it is. Do you want to hold him? Please, Izuku said. As he held him, it felt like his own child, but in a different way. As we last left off with this script, as Izuku was holding Imi in his hands, as Izuku felt more comfort from him, as Izuku held him for the next half an hour before Luna and Millie wanted to hold her again, as Millie's mother instincts kicked in at that very moment, asking Izuku to hand him back over because he needs to be fed, and on cue, he started crying. As Izuku handed him over, to Mickey, it's been a while. As Izuku handed him back over, as Izuku felt relief that he didn't actually hurt him or anything like that, like he would do to himself sometimes. As Izuku would turn back to Luna and Mickey. Why do I keep on getting their names wrong? It's Malo I'm on about. As Izuku looked over both of the twin sisters and asked them both a question, but before Izuku could even answer the question or even say anything, he was interrupted by Blitzo jumping in front of him, as his arms filled in the air trying to get his attention. With Izuku being around 6 foot, it's hard to get attention nowadays. As Izuku looked down and picked up Blitzo and put him at eye height. Yeah, what's up, sir? Izuku said. How would you like to come kill a bunch of people with us? He said in a very calm tone. As Izuku would have responded to that, but before he could say anything, Malo and Luna would have interjected, saying no, because he's not going to ruin their innocent little paw Izuku. Excuse me, but who raised you? You adopted us, you dumb fuck, Luna said, the same with Malo in tandem, as they grabbed Izuku, pushing him to their fluffy cleavage. As Izuku would slowly enjoy that, but his face would go red on the impact, because he could feel, I'm not gonna say it, but you guys know. As Izuku would feel them both, cuddling him, Moxie would come from behind and poke Izuku's shoulder, him trying to turn his neck around, but Malo and Luna stopping him from doing so Moxie just went straight in front of him. Hey Zuku, why don't you just go test that new gun out with me and Blitzo then? No, we're not letting him kill anyone. No, we're not letting him kill, we're just gonna let him test out the new gun by shooting someone. Well, I should be phrased better, but we're gonna let him kill a bunch of animals in the human world, he said, winking at Blitzo. You sure he's not gonna kill a human? We don't want our little baby to be, scarred for life, she said, staring at him with a deadly stare that could kill on impact. Yes, we're sure we won't leave him to kill a human, Blitzo said. As Moxie and Blitzo and Izuku both left that day, as Izuku, well, let's go to the human world once more. As Izuku was aiming at a cow, but without realizing it, it was someone on their hit list. Someone that would have fucked someone over in the past. It was someone named Jonathan Lawrence, who was a convicted felon of killing 2 children and a wife. As Izuku would look down his sight as the man was using a transformation quirk to hide from authorities, so he thought animals were the best subject. Man, he was wrong. As Izuku aimed down the sight of his new gun that he got from the people, as he would have fired, or well, tried to fire, but missing his first shot, as his last shot that would have fired would have connected with the man, making him implode on impact, making the serviceable weapon that could be instantly either disfigured or refigured, instantly killed the man, leaving no trace. As Izuku thought it was just an animal, but the moment he went up to it, he only saw one stomach on the floor. As Izuku thought maybe this cow's stomachs couldn't handle it and only one survived, Izuku thought. Man, he was wrong. As Izuku walked back over to Blitzo with the cow's head in hand, showing him a trophy, but the moment he showed him, however, the cow's head started morphing into a human's. As well, Blitzo covered Izuku's eyes, poking him slightly and then making him covered. As Moxie lost making Izuku lose his grip, making him drop the head. As Moxie opened the gate to hell and threw it in to hide it. As the guy who, well, wanted him dead would have found the head on the floor. As the man would be happy with this and he would have paid more visits in the near future, he thought. Maybe they could actually, give me more killing people in the real world type of thing. I wonder if All Might is able to be killed, the man thought internally. Let's try and go for him next time instead of going for a normal human. Then it'll be a lot more fun that way, he said internally, then went out loud laughing. As we cut back to Izuku's point of view, as Izuku walked further out to see how much damage the gun actually did. As the moment he arrived over the hill, at least half a mile out from when he actually shot the gun, as he looked over the hill to see a giant crater lift there, as Izuku thought he had to run because it was almost 2 miles deep and 2 to 3 miles wide, so Izuku thought it would be a good idea to run. So the moment Blitzo and Mikey, as the moment he opened the portal back up, Izuku rushed through, tackling them both. Izuku, what's wrong? Blitzo said in annoyance. We just had to run a little bit. Pro heroes were coming. Wait, what? As Blitzo closed the gate, seeing one hero looking through, seeing Blitzo and the other demon's face. As Izuku thought it would be a good idea to wash the blood off before Mallow or Luna saw him like this. As Izuku cleaned off all the blood and everything off of him. As Izuku went to bed that night, fully naked without any clothes on, but the moment Mallow and Luna came in, wearing them fully naked as well, let's just say they had a steamy night. I'm gonna add an 18+ to the title to show you that this is happening. As they would have finished their session and would have collapsed. As an hour went by, or probably even after the day, as Izuku woke up noticing that he had to go to school, but he got a text on his phone telling him that he didn't have to come in. So Izuku thought fuck it and set his timer for the rest of the week off, as he fell asleep that day, all the day. As an hour or 5 hours went by, as Mallow and Luna woke up, wondering what time it was. They knew they were going to be late for school, but they looked at Izuku's phone, seeing that their timer and everything, they've been told that they don't have to come in. So, what do you think they did? As she woke up Izuku having another fun time, until Mallow and Luna both rushed to the toilet to throw up, as they threw up there for at least 2 to 3 hours until they came out. As Izuku asked them if everything was okay, but Luna just looked down and nodded, same with Mallow. As a couple of minutes after that, the silence was broken, as Moxie would have came in with the little boy in his hands. "Hey Izuku, you okay?" As Moxie would have said that, as his little wife, we should say that, to be, is behind him. "Hey Moxie, what's as she looked over to see Luna and Mallow, both faces going completely purple. "Are you two okay?" "Oh no, oh," she said, as she grabbed both of the boys' hands, pushing them out, being careful not to hurt her baby or Izuku, because the girls would kill her. As they both had their chat for another couple of hours, the time skip's irrelevant, trust me. As Millie came out with both of them holding some form of plastic in their hand, as Izuku asked what would that be until they flashed it over, it's saying negative. As Moxie would have just blown a little bit of sweat off his forehead, not knowing what Blitzo would do if he found out about this. As Izuku walked over to both of them, hugging him tightly. "Are you okay?" Izuku said. "Yeah, we're fine, Izzy. We get to have more fun though, don't we? Then we don't have to make sure our babies don't get born until we're older," she said, trying to act innocently like Izuku would. As Izuku just hugged them both and said everything's okay. As the next 2 weeks would pass, Izuku's training would be increased exponentially bigger, but the training would not decrease, it would increase. Izuku would be more muscular by the end of the week, and have more muscle tone than what he ever will before, as Izuku would ask Solus or other demons that are around him to try and fight him to see if he would be able to beat them. It was Izuku would be able to beat the mid-class quite easily, but when he fought Solus, he almost left there with a shattered arm, or even it being decapitated. As the last week came around, as Izuku did that with training and spending time with family, as Izuku watched as he took care of Millie and Moxie's baby when they were out, as Luna took a shining to him, as she would try and actually take care of him, but the moment the baby birthed fire, as it burned her fur slightly, leaving a little charred mark. As she would be a little bit upset with that, but she could never be upset in front of a cute little baby as that is. As a thought rang at the back of her head, when would she actually like a kid? Or when would she actually like one with Izuku? She thought over and over and over again, until that thought just dissipated when Izuku started talking. "Hey Luna, Moxie, or Mallow, when is your two's birthday again?" "Around a week, I guess," she said. "Cool, just wanted to know, that's all. I wanted to give you something, but it's a little bit too early," he said, getting them both ears to perk up, leaving them both with red marks plastered on their face. As Izuku didn't know how to reply to that, as he just turned his head and walked slowly, stiff like a board. as we are going to skip all the way to the last, or actually first day of UA High School once again. As everyone was walking in, they saw Izuku, Luna, and Malo hugging each other like they would normally do. Mineta would be insanely jealous, mind you, so Izuku would just ignore him because he's the easiest one to ignore out of all of them. As Izuku would do his final walk through to his class, as Aizawa would tell every single one of them to go and put their, costumes on, or gym uniforms on, so they can actually perform in front of a live audience what they have learned, and what they are going to be doing, and what they can improve so they can scout through hero agencies, Aizawa said, trying to get all of his students hyped up for what's about to happen. As everyone got changed into their costumes, or just plain up gym uniforms, as Izuku and everyone else would got changed and would have gone outside. As everyone, the only thing they heard was cheers, with Midnight and Aizawa hyping them up slightly. As Aizawa and Present Mike were talking through the mic, as Present Mike started to talk about how Aizawa's love of cats and everything just like canon. And here comes our star of the day, Izuku Midoriya, to present everyone. I'm not gonna go full questions blazing with this one, just say that everything went like canon, but except Izuku's conversation. Izuku's conversation would make everyone a little bit more at ease, telling everyone to go plus Ultra and so on. As Izuku went back to his normal seating, as Laura and Malo both clung to Izuku's arm, pressing their chests against him, as Izuku felt himself get tickled by the fuzzy cleavage that they have, of course, as their fur. As Izuku would tell them both the same things to try and keep their distance away from him just for this match. He doesn't want to embarrass them, does he? Izuku said cockily at them. As Izuku would tell both of his girlfriends that, as they would feel a little bit heartbroken, but knowing that Izuku didn't want to hurt them in any way, so they actually just accepted it and took a little bit of space from him just for now. But that will soon change. As the first round went to Izuku, Izuku would try and jump through everywhere, trying to find her way through, but Luna and Malo blocking him off slightly, trying to stay on the same lane as him. As Izuku would try the same tactic as Canon, as it would exceed and get him first place, Malo second place, Bakugo third, and Luna in fourth, Todoroki fifth, and so on. As everyone else would be happy that at least they got the places, but Bakugo on the other hand being more pissed than Canon, not getting the same place, but knowing that Izuku now lives in a hellhole of a place, so he just left it, knowing how much scarring he had in that place. He shook violently, not getting the attention of the teachers, but knowing internally that if he ever talked to Izuku in any that way, he would probably get beheaded. As Bakugo calmed down and went to go sit down and waiting for the next events, it being the cavalry battle. As everyone got into their spaces and teams, Malo, Izuku, Luna. As Izuku was on the top, as Luna was on the bottom, same with Malo and Ochako. As Izuku would stand there with a sort of grin on his face, telling Malo this reminds him of something, but he couldn't put his fingers on it, Malo having a big blush on her face in her human form, with a foxtail poking out slightly from her T-transformation. As Izuku would notice this and tell her that as she hid it back away. As every single event from then on went like canon, Todoroki would try and steal the band from Izuku, but Izuku would dodge under, punching him in the stomach, making him go under just slightly, making Momo catch him slightly in the air, and she would have threw him back up. "Damn it, bitch, he's mine," Momo said out loud to Luna. The other thing Luna did to her just then was spit fire right into her face, making her cough in a fit. "Looks like someone looks ashy," Luna said. as Momo got mad and tried to create a bar to try and push them off. But the moment she did, midnight would have sounded the alarm telling them all that the fight was over. As everyone's scorings, Izuku would be in third, Todoroki in second, as I would say some other team was in first. I would say, ooh, that's a hard decision there. I would say Todoroki's in first, Deku second, Bakugo third. Let's just say that, just decently side canon, but not. As everyone's battles and everything would have gone similar, but the moment Luna's battle happened with, let's just say Momo, because Tokoyami didn't go against her in this timeline, as Luna would charge in at Momo, punching her and sucking her in the face and stomach and even in her chest, making her cough a little bit from all the lung puncture she just did, as their one shot would end her. But the moment she tried to pull out that shot, Momo created a spear and tried to stab her with it, as Midnight called off the round, making Luna the winner from the most hits on Momo. As Momo would be pulled aside by one of the teachers, asking her why was she trying to stab one of the fellow classmates, as Momo would just be quiet and just kept on asking over and over again. Momo Yairozu, my office now, the teacher said, pulling Momo to the nearby office, as Nezu would walk in, asking her why would she try and do something so reckless and stupid. But Momo just kept quiet, but until she snapped out. It's because she's dating my boyfriend, she said. Excuse me, but what boyfriend? You came to this school without one, so it's pretty obvious he's not yours, he said. Over this ponder over such a stupid boy is really stupid, Nezu said. If you don't solve this out, your parents will be called in, and you will be talking and explain to them why you're doing the things you are doing, Nezu said. Fine then, I'll stop, she said, as she walked off back to the lounging area where the rest of the people were waiting for the next rounds, as Bakugo and Oraka, same thing. Malo versus Tenya Ida. This fight would turn different with Malo's increased strength enhancements. She would try and plow through him with multiple punches, but him dodging and evading, but he sorely actually clogged up his engines, as Malo did the finishing blow and knocking him straight out of the ring, making her win. As for the next rounds and beyond that, Deku and fight with Todoroki. This would turn out differently, but still turn out the same. Izuku would try and bring out Todoroki's flames, this working, and Izuku would lose. As the fight against Luna and everyone else, well, we'll have to go against that just in a second. As Izuku would walk into the stands, tired and exhausted. As Izuku would just sit down, slightly exhausted now. As Izuku would sit next to Luna and Malo, him getting comfort from them from the fight he just had. As Izuku put his head on both of their thighs, getting comfort from them, making him feel like he was being comforted by his own mother. That's something he never got. As Izuku would fall asleep until it was Malo's turn to fight. As her fight would be against the girl with vines on her head who acts religious as shit. Can't remember her name, slam me in the comment section if need be. As Izuku would try and cheer her on, her gain the motivation. But she still got grabbed by her ankle, but the moment she did so, she grabbed her vines, tearing through it before she could even be thrown off the ground. As the moment she did that, she felt a little sting in her hair. As she looked to see that her hair was slightly torn off, she would be a little bit mad, but she regrew it, trying to go for the attack again, failing each time from the actual collisions that was happening. As Izuku cheered her on to the point she basically felt empowered and more physically inept. as one punch from Mallow would have knocked her clean out from the evading and dodging that she did, as she fell to the ground on one knee, gasping for air. As the final fight, let's just say everything went canon, but Luna would win. As the fight after when that happened, let's just say Luna versus Mallow would take place, but without wanting to fight and hurting Izuku's feelings of seeing them both hurt each other, they would leave it down to a rock, paper, scissors contest. As people in the stands wondered why they were doing that, as they tried to cheer them on to fight each other, but the more they did that, the more they made them want to do the rock, paper, scissors contest. They did it best out of 3 just to make it fair to one another. As the first one would have had rock, this being Mallow, as Luna managed to get paper, winning the first round for the rock, paper 1, 2, 3. As the next one that was thrown, Mallow would take the victory on that. As the next one after that, Luna with scissors, Mallow with rock the next. As this one finally came down, but Luna would thought, maybe it's my turn to win. Maybe Mallow won't win, she thought internally. Man, she was wrong. As the moment she threw the last one, as Mallow threw paper, winning, because Luna got rock. As Luna would go to one knee saying, "Damn it," she said internally, hair blowing a little bit off steam, as Mallow would just pick her up, grab her by the ass, and carry her out, not wanting to make a big fuss, let's just say. As the moment Izuku would have met up with them, Izuku congratulated both of them on getting as far as they did, as Izuku just hugged both of them and congratulated them with a congratulatory kiss on their cheeks. As the final fight would have gone like canon with Todoroki versus Bakugo, but as I just said, Mallow would have lost that fight against Todoroki, with Todoroki being a far-range fighter. She would have got 3rd place, Todoroki 2nd, Bakugo 3rd. As the next people or their internships would come along, as Mallow would just say fuck it and just spend the rest of the 2 weeks in hell, the same with Luna. But Izuku wanted to learn more experience out in the real world. But as this is when our story turns, as Izuku saw an internship that looked familiar, but it didn't at the same time. What the hell is this? Izuku thought internally, as he pulled out a little piece of paper that said IMP. Wait, why does that sound familiar? Oh, for God's sake, Blitz, Izuku said out loud. Who is Blitz? Ochako said. Oh, it's just a random name I thought of, sorry, Izuku thought, and said out loud. As Izuku and Luna and Mallow would go to the same internship, opening a portal down to hell, leading them down there. As All Might would try and find Izuku to try and make a really good successor for One for All, but never could find him. As Izuku would spend the rest of his time in hell in training, as Mallow and Luna's birthday would finally come around, as Izuku for their present would actually give them, well, as Blitzo would actually get her a bunch of spiders, accidentally misplacing it with something else, as Izuku would actually get their presents as a bunch of flowers, rose petals, and for Luna, she would get him, well, Luna would actually get, Izuku would get Luna a picture of him and her both cuddling in the night, as Luna would wonder where Izuku got that from, but Izuku just kissed her and said don't to worry about it. As he would have got the same thing for Mallow but in a different position, as she would be happy with this and kissed him on the forehead, making him blush slightly at the impact. As the rest of her birthday, they both celebrated, eating cake and everything. As the final time that Izuku would actually, well, you know the vibe of that, and Izuku gave them all a birthday present, giving them all what they wanted, leaving them satisfied. But as the next day would have arrived, and the next day after that, and the day after that, Izuku and Malo and Luna would just stay in bed all day, cuddling for the rest of the night. As Izuku would go back to his internship, or not his internship, well, his school. As the moment he arrived there, he saw people upset and crying, as Izuku had wondered why, but the moment he answered that, as one of the students there, Todoroki, would have lashed out at Izuku. How do you not know about Ida's death, Midoriya? It was all over the news. Sorry. Wait, what'd you say? What do you mean someone died? I was literally out of the freaking city when that happened. My internship required me not to use any mobile devices or anything, Izuku said. Oh, that's fine then. Sorry for snapping at you, Midoriya, Todoroki said, as Izuku got the rundown of Ida's death when he got run into by Stain. As Izuku would have a tear go out his eye, but that would have been interrupted by Luna just hugging him, telling him that he didn't have to feel sorry for someone that he didn't know. As Izuku would be comforted by those words, spending too much time around Blitzo has made him more, well, let's just say, more calm around death, because he talks about it quite regularly, as everyone would have gone down and sat down and ever named things like canon. Bakugo and Izuku would fight All Might, and that would go similarly, but Izuku would take more hits because he's more durable. I'm sorry if I'm going forward for the story. I'm trying to get this done as fast as possible to get all the important stuff forward. As Izuku would fight through, trying to get the number 1 spot, but just making it through for himself to win. As Bakugo would fail the exam, leaving him stranded, making him repeat the testing and making him do remedial classes. As Izuku would be in the infirmary, as Luna and Malo will both be next to him, hugging him like a pillow underneath the sheets. As their bodies started to slowly heat up, not noticing their urges started to increase. As the recovery girl came in, seeing 2 more random lumps in, well, the covers. As she wondered why that was there, but she thought it was just Izuku I don't think I'm allowed to say this on YouTube, so I'm just gonna let this to imagination here. It's not sexual, it's just there. As Izuku would just be sitting up slightly and pulling the quilt to make sure Luna didn't get caught, neither did Malo. As Izuku would get the ship from Recovery Girl, telling them he had a slight broken back and a fractured bone in his shoulder blade. As Izuku would sit up, as the Recovery Girl told him to sit back down, getting a hit on his head. Would I be able to go home today? Izuku said. Yeah, about that. Where do you live, Midoriya? Recovery Girl said. I live with my auntie and uncle, Izuku said. So that must be explaining Malo then, and Luna? No, actually, they're sorts of, what's the word? Very, very close friends with the family, but they just got adopted by those two because of the problem that they had beforehand with the parents. He said. What type of problems? He did have abusive parents, but it was sorted by her adopted parents, Milo, Blitzo, and Blino. He about to make up a random name just because of, as Recovery Girl would believe it, starting to become gullible just slightly, as the rest of it would go as planned. As Blitzo would open a portal underneath the bed, pulling it under, as Izuku dropped down from the ceiling, leaving them in an opened area. Thank you all for watching this video. This video was a bit out there and a lot more here and there's, but the next episode of this will be more in there, if you know what I mean. Thank you all for watching. To another 18 plus coming soon, and a good